adding a light behind subjects can sometimes be a little tricky inside of ON1 Photo Raw, especially if ON1 can't detect your subject. So today, what I'm going to do is show you how you can do this radial gradient lighting technique behind a subject using tools found inside of ON1 Photo Raw when the subject mask does not work for you. If you want to pick up ON1 Photo Raw or maybe upgrade to the latest version, consider using my affiliate coupon code FreeWolfPhotos20. I do make a commission from everyone who uses it, but it's at no extra cost to you. Now, let's go ahead and jump into the computer and take a look at how we can make this lighting effect. So here we are inside of ON1 Photo Raw. And this is a familiar photo for those who caught the previous video where I showed how to do this with a subject mask. But today we're going to simulate doing this without a subject mask. First thing that we're going to do is open up our image inside of the edit module. I've already done that. Then we're going to come over to our local adjustment tab. All right. Wherever your local adjustment tab may be living inside of your edit module, just click that. You should get a menu that looks like this. Well, this is your add adjustment menu. If we come over to the right here where it says more, we're going to hit the plus icon and we're going to go down to the gradient area. All right. And so that's going to be this area right down here. And then we're going to click add, and this is going to create a gradient on our image. Now, by default, there's nothing actually applied to this adjustment. And so if I increase the exposure, you'll notice, and I'm going to do this a little overboard so it's easy to really see, you'll notice that the bottom of the frame is actually getting this adjustment. If I press the letter O, you can see what's happening there. Well, that's clearly not what we want to do. We actually want a radial gradient. And so to change this particular mask type, we need to come up here to our masking options, which is going to be up here at the top left of the photo. And then we're going to come to shape and click the drop down arrow. And then we're going to click on center. And you can see that gives us a radial gradient. Now, if you're not familiar with radial gradients, don't worry about it. Just know that this creates more of a circular or an oval shape. And you can adjust this by using these little white nodes and things like that. But for today's purposes, all we're going to do is shrink this down to a manageable size for this effect to look most natural. And so I shrunk it down, I placed it over the dog, and then I'm just going to grab this dotted line and drag it out. So that way the light kind of just spreads evenly behind the dog and it looks natural. That's the point with any of these types of adjustments. So yes, I'm teaching the masking technique, but I want you to understand the context behind the technique, which is to always make your adjustments look natural, unless of course you're going for something that's just not natural. But once you have your technique, or I'm sorry, your radial gradient created, the next step is usually to click the subject mask. However, we're going to pretend like the subject mask does not detect the subject. All is not lost. So what we're going to do instead is come over to our masking tool, and we're going to click on the mask layers. So if yours is hidden, what you want to do is click mask layers, so that way you can see all of the layers that are creating your mask. And then what you're going to do is come over to this plus icon inside of the mask layers. It's very important that you come to this plus icon and not the one down here in add adjustments. Otherwise, this technique will not work. And so we're going to come over here to the masking tools or masking properties. And then we're going to come over to mask layers, click the plus icon, and then we're going to come down to one of my favorite tools inside of ON1, Quick Mask AI. And then what we're going to do is click on subtract, because we don't need to add anything to the mask. We need to remove the dog from the mask, so that way the dog doesn't get the adjustment. And so I'm going to go ahead and click that. And usually ON1 would need to read the image, but since I've already used the Quick Mask AI tool on this image previously, ON1 doesn't need to do that because it already knows what's in the photo. And so now if I hover over the image, I get this crosshair, and wherever I hover this crosshair, you'll notice that this section turns blue. Now, if you know how to use this tool, then you already know where we're going with this. But if you don't worry about it. This is probably one of the easiest masking tools inside of ON1 to use, because you literally just click. So this is hovered in blue. I'm going to select the dog, and then I can come up here and hit the blue check mark, and the dog would be subtracted from the mask. Now, before I do that, because I know where this is going to lead, is I usually don't want this lighting effect to be on this mound. And so if I hover over this, I can select the mound, and then I'll also select the little mushrooms here, because I don't want the lighting effect to be on the mound. I want it to be behind everything that's in the foreground of the image. And that's important for making this effect look believable. All right. Now you'll notice that around the edges here, it could do a little bit more cleaning up. And so if you can hover over those and click and select those, then great. Now let's assume maybe you selected too much. Maybe I want it to actually keep these mushrooms out of it. If I hold down the Option key and hover over the mushrooms, you'll notice that I can remove those from the selection, but I have to hold the Option key and then click. I don't want to do that, but I want to show you how you can remove things if more items are selected using this tool than you would like to have selected, because anything that's blue is going to be removed from this mask as soon as I hit the blue check mark. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit the blue check mark to commit that. And you'll notice that we're going to get details back on the dog. And then the mound is also now darker. All right. If I press the letter O, you can see what our mask looks like. And to me, this looks really good. It's simulating as if there was a flash behind the dog. And we did this all using tools located inside of ON1 Photo Raw. And again, this is the technique that you would use in the event that the subject detection mask does not work, because I get a lot of comments that say, well, ON1 didn't detect the subject. And that's true. Sometimes ON1 doesn't catch on to the subject. And so what you can do instead is use this technique. Now, this technique is going to give you more control than the subject detection mask anyway. And so this is the method that I would recommend to everyone that you get familiar with doing if this is the type of masking techniques that you want to do. Now, the technique that I just showed is going to give you the most control over your masking selections. However, if you like to use the subject mask, go ahead and watch the video that's popping up on screen now. If you got questions, leave them in the comment section below. Again, if you like to save some money when picking up ON1 Photo Raw, consider using my affiliate coupon code FreeWillPhotos20 located down in the description box below. I do make a commission from everyone who uses it. However, you get to save a little bit of money, so it's a win-win. Until next time, I want you to stay inspired and keep creating. Peace.